So welcome along to the first Champ.ie podcast of the new season. As we look ahead to the national hunt season, I'm joined by a regular guest from last year, Mr. Thomas Coyle, a trainer from Batterstown, County Meath. How are you, Thomas?
Hi, Barry. How are you?
Good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Good to be back. And Ronan Groome with the Irish Field, journalist with the Irish Field, another Meath man. And we'll have another fella as well on the line with us, who I actually spoke to earlier on today. And we'll just bring him in, Mr. Keith Donoghue. So we have another Royal County man in the house this evening, Jockey Keith Donoghue, famously known as Jaxie around Dunshaughlin. Thanks for coming on, Keith, for the first Champ.ie podcast of the national season. How are you doing, Keith?
Yeah, all good now. Not too bad. Working away.
Listen, we'll cut straight to the chase, Keith. Down Royal is in 2 weeks on Friday. A meeting traditionally targeted by Gordon Elliott at the start of the season. Champion bumper winner Envoi Allen potentially on course maybe to start off here. How's he been? Is that the plan, and how's he been over the summer?
Yeah, as far as I know, that's the plan. I'm not sure now if he'll go for the 2.6 maiden or the 2 mile, but you know he's strengthened up well over the summer, and I ride him out most days, and he looks like he's going to be a special horse, and he had a schooling hurdle last week and he jumped well, and he went round well, so it's looking forward to an exciting year with him.
Brilliant stuff. A fine specimen he is, and I suppose champion bumper winner last year. And do you think potentially maybe the further he goes as the season goes on, distance-wise, the better he'll be?
Yeah, I'd say so. He's not slow either. You know, to win a champion bumper, you can't be a slow horse. But obviously, he didn't look like a bumper horse, and he doesn't even look like he's a hurdle horse. It looks like you won't see the best of him until he goes over a fence. So, I'd say he'll be minded this year, and obviously, whatever he does will be a bonus. But it'll be all being aimed till he gets a fence.
Yeah, chasing, I suppose, the eventual plan with him. And another exciting one, Andy Defresne. It looks like a novice also to look forward to for JP this season. He also won a bumper at Down Royal last season. Where might we see him, and have you sat on him much at home now?
I've done a lot of schooling on him before he won his point to point, and he's an exciting horse. I'm just not 100% sure where he'll start off. Perfect.
And another novice as well, Bigbadandbeautiful as a mare. I suppose on plenty of people's lips after her bumper win at Gorn 12 days ago. How good could she be now?
Yeah, obviously she doesn't show much at home. She doesn't go through the motions, but she keeps it all to the track, and she's after being very good in a few bumpers that she's won, and obviously being placed in a good bumper in Leopardstown as well. I think she's going hurdling now, so she could be very good.
Where are we likely to see her, Keith?
I'm not too sure, but I'd imagine she'll start off there in the Mayor's Maiden hurdling the next 2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks, perfect. And a horse I wanted to ask you about was Couer Sublime. Second last year in the Triumph hurdle, stepping up in trip this year over hurdles, Keith. Is that the plan? And I suppose, is he going in under the radar this year?
Yeah, he's definitely gone in under the radar. You know, he was unlucky last year. He fell at the last in Leopardstown. He ran in Gorn and he scoped dirty, and he just wasn't right. And he went into the Triumph hurdle kind of under the radar, and he ran a great race to finish second. And he didn't get his ground all year either. Maybe the only time he got his ground was in Cheltenham.
Yeah,
but he gets a bit of soft ground and a bit of a trip. He's an exciting horse, and he could be very good.
One of the best workers at home, I believe.
He goes well at home, all right. But obviously, he needs to do that on the track.
Needs to do it on the track, yeah, no, absolutely. And Apple's Jade, a horse, I suppose, that you have an association with, flew the flag for the stable last season, winning 3 Grade 1s. How she returned after the break, and would you think that the Hatton's Grace might be a likely target for her?
Yeah, so I'd imagine she'll start off in that race in Navan again, and then working to the Hatton's Grace. She came back well. She's in good. She seems in good form, but obviously her form. She lost her form last year after Christmas, so that is a worry. But hopefully that she can be as good. If she won 2 Grade 1s this side of Christmas, you'd take it.
Absolutely, and I suppose there's another horse actually that I'm looking at is entered up for Down Royal. A horse I suppose we haven't seen for quite a while. 55 rated chaser. Deck Duty. How's the comeback coming along for him?
He's back. He's going steady away. He's cantering and working away. I'm just not sure if Down Royal might come a bit soon from. there's no major rush on him, but he's back going well.
Highly regarded over hurdles.
Yeah, so he's even highly regarded over fences. Just got that fall in that grade 1 at Christmas 2 years ago. And obviously he done something to his knee, but he's back going well at the minute.
Thanks very much for your time, Keith Donoghue. We'll be following you, of course, with a close eye this season and hopefully get you on at some stage again. And the very best of luck for the season upcoming. Looking ahead to the new season, Ronan, I might come to you first. What a season it was last year. I suppose maybe the highlight for many National Hunt fans was Tiger Roll back-to-back Grand Nationals. But I suppose Willie Mullins as well, finally winning the Gold Cup with Album Photo. Giving a lesson to Elliot as well in the Irish Trainers' Championship once again. Was there anything in particular maybe that stood out for you last season over the course of the year?
Spoken like a true Carlow man there, giving a lesson to the Meath man, Gordon Elliott. Tiger Roll was sensational, I suppose. And you mentioned I love seeing Willie win the Gold Cup with Album Photo. I backed him, so I can't complain there either. Apple's Jade was sensational at the beginning of the season. It kind of wheels fell off then. Sadly for me, I was all over her on big prices for the champion hurdle, so that was a bit of a low light for me. But the highlight, I'll go with a bit of left of field. I absolutely loved seeing Paisley Park win the Stayers hurdle. I just thought that was sensational, the way the race kind of panned out. He looked beaten coming down the hill, and he kind of just revved up the engine and got going, then hit the last, and kind of just the whole crowd were so into it, and the commentary was brilliant, and kind of just re-energized and got himself going again. I thought Paisley Park was brilliant last year. I loved the story with the owner and all that, so that was a personal highlight for me. But just looking forward to it now. I watched all the Cheltenham races again there the other night just to get myself back into it, and if that doesn't get you going, nothing else will. So yeah, looking forward to new.
I just got to show you, just when you're talking about Paisley Park and looking ahead, I suppose at this point in time, we're now in October. Like, the horse did kind of come from nowhere as well. Like, I mean, his Albert Bartlett run wouldn't have suggested, that he was going to step up and be the leading stayer. So just to bear in mind when we are, but it was a great story, obviously, with the ownership as well. Great for Emma Lavelle as well to have, great for Emma Lavelle to have, I suppose, a leading prospect as well.
It is a fact that Barry, because he did come from nowhere, Paisley Park, at this time last year, and that's a very good point for finding horses now, because you would have said the exact same with Envoi Allen. So what I'd say to anyone having a listen is, don't be afraid to take a chance on something at a huge price. And nothing is far-fetched this time of year. You can find horses from anywhere. So this is the time of year you're going to get those huge prices about Cheltenham. So never be afraid.
I don't think, just speaking just even about the Stayers hurdle, Thistlecrack, I don't think he was even mentioned at this point in time when he stepped up as well. So just be very open-minded as well. Thomas, highlight for you last year, apart from George and Bay and Dundalk, which was...
Yeah. Well, I was ranting and raving all last year about Lostintranslation, and finally he got his day in his grade 1 in Aintree. So for me, plus I had a mare at home related to her as well, so that was a nice little cherry on top. But he done it well in the step up, and he's going to be a major player this year, and it'll be the Gold Cup obviously by the likes. And from what Tizard was saying, he was going to be his next Gold Cup horse. So it's going to be some race this year. The 3 mile division. There's from both sides of the sea by the looks of it.
Yeah, we'll come to that later on. I suppose to me it looks like the hottest Cheltenham Gold Cup at this point in time that we've had in quite a while. Maybe the last time we were getting this excited was when we had the potential maybe of a Tour, Q Card, and Don Cossack maybe lining up in the Gold Cup. But this year, slightly different. Obviously, Willie 1 and 2 with Envoi Allen Photo. We'll come to that, I suppose, a little bit later. Ronan, going to come to you first on novice prospects for the new season. We heard a little bit from Keith earlier on. Envoi Allen, I suppose, the big hope for the Irish maybe going into the season. Does he want slightly further? Is there anything else maybe you want to mention going into the season?
Yeah, Envoi Allen, I think, kind of at the moment sets an early kind of standard that you're thinking is going to be up there by the time Cheltenham comes around. I would have thought, just the way he won the bumper, that you'd be looking at something like the Ballymore or further, as of now. He's well found, I suppose, in the market. Like, he's an obvious kind of, everyone knows what they know about him. He was a brilliant bumper winner. Gordon Elliott didn't even want to go to Cheltenham with him. He wanted to save him, but the owners wanted to run him because the Paisley Park guys were getting a bit old and just wanted to have a Cheltenham Festival winner. But he ran him and he won, and it was brilliant. So he's an obvious one, I suppose.
He's 6-1 now, Ronan. Sorry, 6-1 with BetXS. You can get bigger out there. For the Ballymore. To me now, he wants further. I think you could be looking at him. I know some people say that the Albert Bartlett potentially could ruin a horse, especially if they were, as Keith was saying, trying to mind them. But that I think he's going to want a lot further than, especially in time, than even 2.5 miles. Personally.
He could do. It's hard to know. It's just with Cheltenham, it's so hard at this point because there's 3 races there that he could possibly run in, and it's just hard to suggest to anyone to have a bet on even the best novices, because you just don't know which race they're going to go for. I would have thought you could put a line through the Supreme, and that might sound silly after a while. We need to see him first. I think he's going to run that Down Royal, did Keith say? I think he goes for might go for the 2 miler, it's 2.6 there, but if he went for the 2.6, it would make a lot more sense. A few others just to rattle through. Fly Smart, I think, is going to be the official Willie Mullins hype horse this season, or the Willie Mullins Rich Richie hype horse. He comes from France, and I've already heard of a few guys that this could be the one for the season, which basically means he could be anything. He could be what was the name of that? Senawalk, wasn't that the thing, the hypey one that everyone went mad about one year, and then
it was Animix. It was Animix last year, wasn't it?
Animix last year. Senawalk was one, but then you on the other side you have the likes of Duvan and Votor. There's always a Rich Richie kind of Willie Mullins horse at this time of year that people go crazy about. And I think Fly Smart is that one this year.
He is, yeah. He. Not to steal your thunder now, but he is one of my horses to follow. One of my 20 horses to follow that you can see is still after being published as well for Champ.ie. But as I say, he's almost an identical profile to Vautour. Comes after winning one race on the flat in France, finished second for Macaire, and then snapped up quickly and will be given time to mature as well. Ronan, but he is the hype horse, as you said. I'm very interested in this Shishkin of Nicky Henderson's. Came from the point field. What do you make of him?
Yeah, won a Linkstown point-to-point, I think it was, and then he bolted up in a bumper there. Was it Kempton? And hasn't been seen.
Kempton, the day after Album Photo won the Gold Cup.
Yes, good knowledge. He looked pretty quick that day. That was a nothing race. I think it was a pretty average bumper, but he looked sharp enough. He looks like he's fast, like enough that he won a point-to-point, but he could end up being something like a supreme horse. He'll be interesting, definitely. I've seen a few shrewd judges put him up as well. A couple of others I just wanted to throw by you there. I'd be interested to see Joseph O'Brien's Deloro. That was that huge purchase. I think Lloyd Williams owns him. Still owns him anyway. He spent 410 grand on him. I'd be interested to see Malone Road, who was hugely impressive around this time last year and then obviously got injured. But the one I would put up maybe as just an early bet has actually already ran and won, and it's called Sixshooter for Noel Mead. I spoke to
yesterday. Ran yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah, he won yesterday. And Noel Mead had a winner today at Punchtown as well. Beacon Edge. He wasn't as he looked more impressive. I think the other horse fell at last, but I like this Sixshooter. I like a lot. If you look at his form last year, he won at the Punchtown Festival in what wasn't the main bumper, but it was just a normal bumper. He beat the Big Getaway, who's I think very well regarded horse, and another horse called Fury Road. They kind of went around at a snail's pace, but he still showed enough gears to get away. His other bumper he won, he beat Soviet Pimpernel, who's already come out and won this season. And the other horse in that race that was third was Dew Cup, who won a couple of races after that as well. I just loved his form. I loved the way he went about it yesterday. Just got going at the end, jumped well enough, made one or two mistakes, but you kind of expect that on his debut, and he never really looked like getting beat and kind of went away. Rachel Blackmore got off him and said, yeah, he'll improve. And sorry, just as I said, I was speaking to Noel Mead for a Talk and Trainer preview. We have a column in the paper called Talk and Trainer, and I couldn't even remember Sixshooter. I should have, because I noted him down when he won at Punchestown. But I was asking him through horses, and one of them was injured, and he said, "Well, I don't. That horse isn't going to run this season, but I do have another one I wanted to mention to you, and it's this Sixshooter. He goes really well at home, and we're looking forward to starting him over hurdles. He's around 40-1 already for the net
for the
Ballymore, sorry, yeah. And I would imagine he'll show up somewhere at Navan, maybe that Navan Novice Hurdle, the Grade 1, or it's a Grade 2 now actually. That could be his next one. He's only a 4-year-old. He's only had 3 starts, loads of scope. Rachel got off him and said there's loads of improvement there. So he's my early kind of novice that I'm looking at for Cheltenham.
Brilliant, yeah, no, because he wouldn't have even come into my radar now, to be honest with you. So it's always nice to. But Deloro, you mentioned Deloro as well. Looking forward to seeing him as well. What was I going to say to you? Thomas? Come in here. What novice are you going to give us for the year?
I'm going to go for one, on the lines of Envoi Allen, another Gordon Elliott horse, Abracadabras. I think we flagged him up last year as well. He actually won in Goran at the weekend, pretty easy. But I don't know if he's just remembered that.
Did you make his jumping, Tom? What did you make of his jump?
He's obviously he made a few slight mistakes, all right. But look, he's going to learn. That's probably why Gordon has him out early, and he'll get another run. But I just remember that race in the bumper in Leopardstown. He was going to give Envoi Allen a lot to think about, and remember he ran out through the rails with Lisa O'Neill.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then he went on. He was only beaten about 4 or 5 lengths in the Cheltenham bumper. I think he was favoured for the Punchestown bumper, but was beaten by Willie's horse, Couer. So he might be one just to keep an eye on. He was a very big raw horse last year, so I'd imagine another summer out, he could be a nice horse this year as well.
I'm currently 25-1 as well with BetXS, just for the you can't get bigger out there as well. Geez, Colin may do something about his prices, but he's not able to defend himself. He's had a child over the summer since we were speaking to him last. So he tells me he might be joining us, but if he doesn't, I'm going to proceed and because he will be featuring as the year goes on. That's Colin Finlay from BetXS. But just the horse actually I might mention. I'm not entirely sure if he will go for Supreme anymore. But there's a horse actually was trained by a Balbriggan point trainer, Thomas, you might know, the Chantry House. Was snapped up on the advice of Jamie Codd. He ran one bumper in Warwick, and I absolutely loved the way he done it. Literally, is he a big Yates horse? Henderson actually said he might go chasing straight away, but if he does go over hurdles, I reckon the Ballymore could be a target for him. He cost about 295,000 for Henderson, as I said, on bumper in Warwick. He done it very nicely. Garrett, he kind of sat him in mid-division. I'd say it was a weak enough contest, but taught him a lot. Would have sat him in behind horses sort of mid-div. And when he asked him, basically it was a slow enough pace as well, but I loved the way he kind of galloped to the line. Went away to win by about 3 lengths. The form hasn't been exactly frank since, but I love the way he kind of done it. Galloped to the line, head carriage as well. Big Yates horse, and I can't wait to see him this year. You mentioned Deloro as well, but the other one I'll give a mention to, just the other side of the water, lads, is Lar Devent. It's trained by Colin Tizard, big Coastal Park horse, 5-year-old. Went off favourite in the same race, in the same point that Shishkin won in Lingstown. Very highly regarded, but ran a banger basically in February, and John O'Neill Jr. We know the season he had last year. Basically, he said he was the best bumper horse that he had that he rode last year. Showed a lot of pace. It was a slowly run race. But when he asked him, the response was immediate. I think Tizards like him as well, and Cod obviously. I think Cod has been raving about him as well. And lads, we'll move on to the novice chase division. This is something I love talking about at the start of every year. Right, we'll cut to the chase. 2 miles. Who's your Oracle horse, Ronan Groome, for this year? Give me 1. I don't want 10. Trying to wrap this up within the hour.
Right. Yeah. I don't mind letting them run a bit before I decide which my actual one is. But if you want one,
enough, yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Who are you most looking forward to over 2 miles over fences this year, Ronan Groome?
Yeah. Well, just looking at the market, just the first 2 that are there probably aren't even going to run over fences this year. That's Lorena and Classical Dream. The one that I would be looking at this point would be Felix Desjy, who was had a bit of a messy kind of year, but he eventually came good when they decided to put him out in front and just simplify things for him. He's like all Jigginstown horses. He's gone over fences. But he's a bit unusual in the way that he's a 2 mile. He's going to be made into an Arkle horse. And I'd be looking forward to seeing where he goes. I think he could be a bit of a weapon if he got out in front, jumping the way he was last year. He actually, if you remember that race at Punchestown, he went really fast out in front. And even Willie Mullen said after the race, when Classical Dream came through to beat him, that, Jesus, Felix Desjy, is the horse to leg out of that race. The way he kind of went off in front and still managed to keep going at the end. He's interesting for me, I suppose. The other one I will just give a brief mention to, if you let me, is Thomas Darby. He was second in the Supreme. I'm pretty sure he goes over fences, and he'd be interesting. He's possibly an Arkle horse as well, given the speed he showed to be second in the Supreme.
No problem. Let's go to the JLT. Give us your JLT horse. I know. Listen, it's impossible to fully know where our horses are going to go. In the novice chasing this year, there's 2 that I'm looking forward to across the board. I think one will be targeted at the JLT and the other the RSA. Allaho is a horse last year that we were kind of talking about leading up to Punchestown. He's had 2 runs, obviously behind the mightily impressive Manila Endo, who's going chasing himself. But Allaho, for me, he reminds me of a young Sir des Champs. Obviously French bred. I think a lot of people are talking about him possibly needing a trip over fences, but I think you saw Willie a couple of years ago with Sir des Champs, Black Hercules as well. Sometimes these horses that maybe seem like they might need a trip or 3 miles, when you drop them back in trip, that suits better. I think if he takes to a fence, he is going to be quite exciting. He had 2 runs last year in Ireland, and obviously ran in Cheltenham as well. So lots of improvement for him. He's only a 5-year-old as well, so it might well take 2 seasons before we see the best of him. But another one is actually one that you mightn't expect me to say is Bright Forecast for Ben Pauling. Went about 10 wide in the Ballymore last year. Slightly off the right as well. Looked like he might need a trip, and he is going over fences. Pauling thinks a lot of the horse, and I think he's something like 25 to 1 for the RSA. I think maybe the Cato Star Novice he mentioned, that's kind of the route. Obviously with a beginner's chase before that, but that would be his early season target, would maybe to be the Cato Star Novice chase. But he's obviously highly talented. I think it was only 4 lengths. He was coming home stronger than absolutely everything in that Ballymore last year, City Island and Champ. That form looks strong, so I think he's one to be very excited. Son of a Cardio as well, which is I suppose a sire that's becoming more popular.
Would it be a negative?
Oh, would it be a negative for you? Would it? Yeah, right.
Arcade, yeah, big negative.
Well, yeah, that's my 2 going novice chasing. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, for me, you've just had a quick mention there, City Island, Martin Brazel's horse. Okay, one lowly not rated, but he was under the radar going to Cheltenham and was produced for the day. Obviously flopped in Punchestown after, but I think a few things came to light after that. But on his Ballymore form, he should be one for the JLT, you'd imagine. He looks like
what about his run at Punchestown last year? What would you put that down to?
Look, maybe he didn't come out of Cheltenham just as well, you know, like the hype and that. Some horses just don't bounce, but on his Cheltenham form, he'll be bang up there, and he'd be one to looking forward to, I'd imagine. All these are coming out, as you say, in beginner chases soon, and it'll be exciting. Thank God that the rain has come this year, because you'll see more of them out earlier. Like last winter was a disaster with it being so dry. But the way that Ireland has the rains come this year, there'll be plenty of good horses out early this year.
Yeah, fair. Ronan, I actually wanted to ask you just what you think of the Allaho Manila Endo form from last year. I think they could be quite exciting, both of them.
Yeah, I think they are, because they've come clear at Cheltenham and then replicated that form again at Punchestown. I'm not surprised that you're an Allaho fan, because I remember you saying in the Punchestown thing that you're all over him again for when we did this Punchestown preview. Yeah, both of them are interesting, and I'd see the both of them in the RSA now. I know what you're saying there about Allaho might come down and trip, but that'll transpire as it does. I suppose before we get on, we might as well, or we should, talk about Samcro. Which obviously was literally, but it was the horse.
Another Meath flop.
Maybe, but I think he has a time. I think he has his time this year to make amends for it. It's just interesting that no one's talking about him, and at this time last year, everyone was talking.
I think they said he's going to start in Down Royal as well, isn't he? Yeah. So I suppose a lot of, I say, opinions are going to be held till then. But like, if he does come back, he'd be really exciting in this division. All right,
you could see him going. You could see him going right to the top of the betting market for all those races. Because
like if he comes out and is so impressive in Down Royal, like he'd be, you know, and like
he wasn't right last year, was he, Tom?
No, but they've said that, and they've made that very public that they couldn't get the horse right. So, but I think from the words that they're saying, he seems to be back all right. So he could definitely rise to the top again. Like good Meath, the cream always rises to the top.
Here, come here. Just speaking of Meath, did you mop up any of those Meath fillies after the Croke Park, the Meath Ladies? Jeez, it's bad when you have to go to the women to win trophies these days, isn't it?
Lad, we couldn't even win that. We were bet.
Oh, did you? All right, wasn't it? So there was no celebrations, no.
No.
Oh, it didn't suit you. You would have been first man in.
You enjoy your day out in Croke Park, that's right.
How are they all down in Lenihan's, actually, Ronan?
Yeah, good form, yeah.
Have you seen the rooster anytime, any over the last while, no, Sean?
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen him in a while, no.
Probably better off.
Yeah, you know what? I do see
watching this now, so listen. Anyway, come here. We'll move on, lads. We'll keep the Gold Cup. Actually, did you want to mention anything in the staying division, Ronan, at maybe a price over fences?
A quick one, Barry. Dallas to Picton's, another one of Gordon's. He actually was second to City Island in a maiden hurdle at Leopardstown. I think it was St. Stephen's Day, could have been. And he won then at Punchestown, and he won the big handicap hurdle at a Dublin Racing Festival, and he was all the rage for the Martin Pipe. And I'd urge anyone to go back and just have a look at that race. He absolutely tanked through the last half mile, hit the front too soon, stuck his head up in the air, and early doors came in and mugged him.
Travelled well down that day, didn't he?
Yeah, he was huge. He was really well backed.
The word was as well that he was a graded horse in a handicap, wasn't it? They were
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure he is. Like, they could even win a big handicap hurdle with him if they wanted to this season. But he's already won over fences at Gowran. I would not be surprised at all if he developed into a real classy. You could see him in something like the Drinmore. He won over 2-2 at Gowran, and I think he's won over 2.5. And even that City Island race was over 2 miles. So he's got he's versatile trips wise. So he could be something like the JLT or even the RSA. But he's one I'm very much looking forward to seeing again. It could be in the Drim where you see him next.
Absolutely. Right. As I said, Allaho, bright forecast. Yeah, I think Getaway Trump actually, just when it comes to the Arkle, could be one to look at as well. I've taken 16s on Getaway Trump. I've done a small couple of anti-post bets. You might have figured. Right, lads, we'll move on now to the champion hurdle this year. Classical Dream. He's rated 160 at the end of his hurdle campaign, lads. He looked pretty special. Is it a weak division this year? I know Henderson obviously has second, third, and fourth in the betting. Come to you first, Thomas. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree. It's definitely weak when you think Bouvardere is going to be another year older again. For me, Classical Dream done everything right last year. He done it in Cheltenham. He done it in Punchestown.
Yeah.
I like. What were you saying? He's 3-1 or something? Already?
Yeah, 3-1 with BetXS now for you wouldn't be backing him anti-post. Well, I wouldn't.
No, but I think he could be an even money shot, like literally the day, because Bouvardere is probably going to win Everton, like the Christmas hurdle and Everton over there, and he'll be doing the same here, and they'll meet. And I know I'd rather be on the younger pretender than the lad that's been through it a few times.
Ronan, what do you think?
I agree with Thomas. I think Classical Dream is, I personally wouldn't be my style to back a horse at 7-2 at this point, but you wouldn't kind of scoff at that price. I think it's right. He's a top class novice coming through in what looks a very open year. You have Bouvardere then at 6-1. Look, I thought the cracks were showing. I've never been big fan of Bouvardere, but I thought the cracks were showing early last year. He got beaten the Christmas hurdle. And I was taking him on again at Cheltenham, really. Pentland Hills and Fusil Raffles, yeah, two fairly good. Pentland Hills probably more so. Obviously came from absolutely nowhere to win.
He was rated very low on the frat, Pentland Hills, and a couple of victories. He was a huge price for the.
You think he won? Was America Racing he won at, and he came like literally just off that run and wins the Triumph Hurdle. It was that's a huge price.
He was something like 33-1, was he, for the Triumph Hurdle?
Yeah, it's fairly impressive in fairness to him, and then he backed it up at Aintree. So yeah, look, I don't like 5-year-olds, but it's that open a year that he's rightfully up there towards top of the market. Then you're looking. I just think this race is ripe for let's have a go and try and find something. I heard a lot of people talking about Saldier. I don't know. Yeah, he's that Esport Allen form, but that's a long time ago now. I want to see him again before. I'd like to
see him jump a little bit better before I start talking for a champion hurdle. But anyway, yeah, go on.
There's one I like. There's two I like, and I don't know what she's doing yet. But I'm a huge Honeysuckle fan. I thought she was absolutely sensational last year at Fairy House. She absolutely bolted up. Anyone go back and watch that race? She just travelled around, jumped beautifully, and Rachel didn't even hit her. She literally just pushed her out. She won by the easiest 5.5 lengths you'll see in a Grade 1 mares race. The second came out and won at Punchestown. That was Elfile. I think she's as good, if not better, than any of the juveniles anyway that were running around last year. And I don't think she's too far away from Classical Dream with a £7 allowance. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going chasing. Are they going to keep her to Mayor's Company, go for the Mayor's race? But if she went around and maybe they had to go with a Grade 1 2-mile race this season, I'll be very, very interested in her. She's around 40-1. The other one I'm interested in is you mentioned him already, actually, Elixir D'Nutz. He will go for the great. What I think he's off about 153. But his form from last year is really good. He won at Cheltenham a Grade 2 race, and then he won the Tolworth Hurdle, and he beat Grand Sancy. I was all over Grand Sancy for the Supreme when he ran no race, but that Grand Sancy actually immediately on his more immediate run boosted that form because he won a Grade 2 against older horses at Kingwell. Yeah, Elixir D'Nutz missed the Supreme, but it means that he gets to start the season off 153, and you're always looking at that Greatwood that it might produce a kind of thrown in novice second season horse that that could win off like a market.
Hey, come here. I've one for the Greatwood for you.
Go on then.
So I might as well just shout him out here now when I'm after saying him. Alan King's Harambe, second season novice as well. Can you hear me?
Right.
Who's after dropping out there?
No.
We have everyone. Yeah, no. Alan King's Harambe, second last year on the very last day of the season to the horse that's going chasing this year was Getaway Trump.
Oh yeah, up at Air.
Now he was beaten 37 lengths by Tyne Hill there last week at Chepstow. But I think this is the horse for the Greatwood. But anyway,
Tyne Hill, he was third in the Cheltenham bumper, wasn't he?
In the bumper, yeah. But anyway, go on. I interrupted you. We'll talk handicappers in a while. Harambe's for the Greatwood. Go on.
Yeah, no, that's
one, by the way.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah, that's basically it, Jess. So those are the two I'm kind of looking at that might just spring from the market. Can I just mention one more because he won't be winning. Yeah, he won't be winning Champion Hurdle, but it's a crying shame Super Sunday was never given a chance at a Champion Hurdle.
Not a hope. He's too slow.
It breaks my heart he was never given a chance to run in it. If you even look last year at
It's by Galileo, actually.
Yeah, he's by Galileo. He loves good ground. He takes ages to get fit. You just excuse his 3 runs. He always comes good in April. He wins over the 2.5 mile at Grade 1 at Aintree last year. Beat Boover there. And if you look at the Punchestown race back over 2 miles, he looked like he was going to be out with the washing as they turned for home. He's come through the field again. I just love to see him be given a chance up the hill at Cheltenham. Look, he's 10 now. The chances of him actually running the race are probably it's not going to happen. But it's a crying shame he never got a chance, in my opinion.
Well, I've had my second biggest bet at an anti-post. Well, second biggest anti-post bet at this stage of Cheltenham on Fusil Raffles. I think 16-1. He's going to end up the best of the Henderson bunch, I think, this year. As you said, Boover there, the cracks have been shown. You couldn't be really. Listen, Classical Dream could be anything, but at this stage, 16-1 will do me on Fusil Raffles. We'll come on now today. Just very quickly, just a quick mention to the Stayers Hurdle. You said Paisley Park, your highlight last year. For me, there's one horse here, lads, that could give him a lot to think about this year. He was potential champion hurdle class at the start of last year. I know the Harry Fry and a couple of lads down there held him in high regard. That's If the Cap Fits. First time up, first Grade 1 win basically in a first Grade 1 win at Entry over 3 miles as he stepped up and tripped. I thought he was full value for the win now myself. He made an absolute hymns at the last, and it was an unreal ride by Sean Bourne to get him back up. But I think 12-1 now. If anything else in Ireland and England to take on Paisley, I think he might have a couple of battles with him before ever we get to March. That's if the Cap Fits, and I think there's lots of improvement there as he has been stepped up and tripped. 12-1 if the Cap Fits. I think is a good anti-post bet because he's definitely going down that route. Is there anything, lads, you want to mention for the Stayers? No.
Yeah, I'll jump in if that's all right. Yeah, there's one. Paisley Park will be very sets the standard, obviously, but there's one I like. Jessica Harrington's not many left. He stays over hurdles. He ran third in the 3 mile. What's the 3 mile? The Pertemps at Cheltenham last year. So there's your Cheltenham form. And he was running a huge race in the Grade 1, the 3 mile Grade 1 at Punchestown, and he fell at the last. And the race, you know what I mean, Harry won. So that was kind of only like he's very unexposed still, and he stays over hurdles, and he's got 3 mile Cheltenham form. I just thought 33s, I think you can get about him. Was a big price. It's also very interesting that Sam's Profile stays over hurdles. Mouse Morris.
Yeah, I saw that today. Was that today? Yeah, and then just come out for that. Because a lot of people thought he was going over fences, didn't they?
Yeah, I presume that as well. It was kind of a strange decision. The horse is still only 5, so one probably wants to give him a bit of time.
But saying that, the Stayers division has been very weak in the last few years. So like a young horse like that could come up.
Yeah.
Like, being honest, when you're looking at like Faheen was third in it last year after all the, like, he's been around a long time. But if you go through that race, like, I know you had Super Sunday, but there's some good handicappers in it. But it's for me in the last couple of years, it's not one division that has stood out. It's a race, even when you're looking
here,
at
lads.
it.
Actually, he's not Thomas. Now, I see what you're saying. Look for something maybe further. Just two horses, right? One is mentioned by Keith Donoghue already. If he did go down that route, he is stepping up in trip. I'm not sure. We ran a great race at Cheltenham last year, Couer Sublime. But one that's not even mentioned, right? And it just struck me that, you know the old saying, stare on the flat, stare over hurdles, right?
Yeah.
Aramon isn't even priced up. Nicholas Cameron, horse of Willie Mullins's, as I stepped up. But Aramon reminds me very much of Nicholas Canyon in his novice days, and maybe didn't get the full, not your flashiest sort of novice from last year. And if he wants to step up and trip, is there anything to be said for Aramon maybe to enter? Yeah. He's not even priced up for the race.
But there's horses like that. There's like a lot of trainers at the start of the season, horses that end up in a Stayers hurdle might be as, like, if the cap fits. Harry Fry thought he was going to be his champion hurdle horse last year. He got bet around Plumpton, I remember.
The Wing Canton in the Elite, he got stuffed.
And now he looks like he's, as he says, 12-1. If he can progress, he looks like he's going to be one of the favoured horses into it. But like, you have to think a little bit out of the box, because until, like, some people won't even have, there'll be horses in the Stayers that will try to be champion hurdle horses or one of them till Christmas, and all of a sudden the bubbles burst here, and all of a sudden, if he stays, here's a weak, well, in my eyes it's a weaker division, and this is what trainers are saying. Well, if I can get him to stay, he'll be going. So it's not that I have an anti-post bet or anything, but for me, the Stayers hurdle is one to stay away till maybe after Christmas, and maybe a light might shine somewhere in Ireland that he could become a Stayers horse. But for me, it's not a division I get stuck into anyway. Definitely not.
See what you're saying. Maybe that shining light could be the likes of your Couer Sublime or even Aramon from further afield. Listen, we'll move on. The Gold Cup looks like the best Gold Cup, as we said, for quite a while. Tom, you love Lostintranslation. You keep talking about him. Can he win it?
It's going to be harder than other years, but yeah. Himself and the other horse that I like in it is Delta Work. I just think after he was third in Cheltenham, there was a lot of disappointment in it, and maybe after, he was such a big raw horse as well, and he won the novice chase in Fairy House, the festival before Christmas. That the Drinmore, was it? He bet
Drinmore,
yeah. He bet Joseph's horse.
Larichburg.
Yeah, that form. Going back to that form. So they be my two for it in the pick. Presenting Percy, he was all wrong as well last year. He came back to his Cheltenham the year before. He's a bigger price. They be kind of my. Has he had a setback actually, Roland Percy?
He's small. He got held up a bit. They found something with him just towards the end. Philip Reynolds said so. He'll be, but I think he's still going to be okay. I think he's something like the John Durkin is what they're looking to aim him for. So
I read that actually. Yeah, John Durkin chase. What are you thinking for the Gold Cup this year?
It's probably one of the best Gold Cups in a while, and yet I'm still looking at the top of the market, and I want to take these kind of horses like Envoi on. I just think the Gold Cup is such a Stayers kind of a race, and I know Envoi, kind of when he came around to him last year when he won at Punchestown and looked like he outstayed Albin forward there. I just think 3 miles 2.5 at Cheltenham is just another kind of, it's such an extra burden on a horse. Albin Foe, it's so hard to win 2 in a row, isn't it? So
yeah,
he's there and he's on a merit, but you just don't know how much that took out of him, that race. He's still a young horse. I could see him coming through again, being one of the main contenders. Then you have the crack novices from last year, the likes of Santini and Delta's work. Obviously, sadly, top of the game isn't there. But the horse that could blow the whole thing open is Altior. And
I was looking at him as you were saying it. He didn't mention him. I was like, yeah, go on.
He changes. Not only does he change the Gold Cup market if he goes and wins the King George, he changes the Champion Chase market completely as well. Like if he wins the King George, Altior, what sort of price do you think he is for the Gold Cup? Then he's no more than 3-1, I think. And I know I'm saying about staying in that, but Altior is that sort of class that I think.
But I think he could win a King George on a flatter track. But as you said, the extra 2 furlongs and up that hill, do you really think he wants to see that kind of battle?
Yeah,
that's my personal. But I definitely could see him winning a King George, like, you know, on a flat track.
Yeah. Any time I think of Altior, just I suppose going King George and maybe Gold Cup as the season, well, by the time March comes, right? Anytime I look at that, I kind of try to stop myself from thinking that that's possible. When you actually look at all his wins over 2 miles, he's been on and off the bridle, I suppose maybe from 2 out. He always kind of hits that point in a race when you're kind of thinking, oh, is today not going to be his day? Is he not going to pick up? But literally, when he decides to go, he just hits that line at 100 miles an hour. He stays. He does the best at the end. He does his best work at the end. I just could see him winning a King George, and as you said, Ronan, he does blow the whole thing wide open then at that point. You know?
He does, yeah. And I'm not saying that I would be. He would go to that sort of price for the Gold Cup, and then I'd probably be keen to take him on, as we've kind of said. But it's just worth bearing in mind if you're looking at the Gold Cup market now that Altior kind of is going to have a big impact on it at some point, I think. Obviously, if he gets beaten at King George, then he goes and he has a big impact on the Champion Chase market because he might go back there.
I think he'd struggle to do that if he did go down. Yeah.
He could be the story of the season, really, couldn't he, Altior? I'm not a big Presenting Percy fan. And I'm always looking at the likes of Native River again and Annabelle Fly at big prices for the World Cup. We're not going to back them now, but on the day, if there's horses like that involved, I'm not going to go. One I just wanted to mention at a big price is Real Steel. And I know I'm going to have to explain this because I know I said at the start of the thing you have to think outside the box. But
yeah, well, you never knock a man for trying.
Yeah. Let me plead my case for a second. Yeah, he has a remarkably similar profile to Kemboy, in that he was kind of well beaten in a JLT, and he came back to win at Punchestown. He won the exact same race Kemboy won. He actually won it off a higher mark. And if you remember that race at Punchestown, it was himself and Hardline, the 2 Grade 1 horses, and they bolted clear basically. Of Poker Party and a couple of others that finished. I think it was a bit of carnage in that race, but it was a really strong staying performance. I was reading a few notes from his owner Jared O'Sullivan. He said he's going over further this year. He also mentioned that, if you remember, I think was it early in his novice career, he was the horse that fell in that Grade 1. Remember that mad Grade 1 that Whiskey Sarah came through to win, and Sharjah fell as well. And he said that kind of knocked the stuffing out of him a bit, and it took him a while just to get going again. I just wonder, is he a horse that has his confidence back now? And it just kind of came true for him last season. And I just think he's very interesting going up and trip now. And by the sounds of it, he is going to get a crack at a Grade 1 at some point. And it's just very interesting that he's following a very similar line to Kemboy. And as I said, you never would have backed Kemboy for a Gold Cup at this point last year, and I know he obviously didn't win. He fell early and we'll never know what happened, but he obviously won all those Grade 1s. It can happen. These horses can come from nowhere. So the Real Steel is one I've backed at a huge price already for the Gold Cup, and it'll be just interesting to see how the season develops for him.
I'm going to give you, First of all, Tom, or Ronan, first of all, I'm going to tell you that, I wouldn't knock you for putting up a horse at that sort of price, because I'm going to give you a horse that's even bigger. Race still actually mightn't even be priced up for the race. But anyway, Vindication.
Oh yeah, Kim Bailey.
He's 100 to 1 now at the moment. Listen, Santini is my fancy at this stage, and I can't wait to see him over 3 months. The RSA form last year was fantastic, right? But that's what it's all about, kind of speculating at this time in the year. He is from letting know about it. But if you look back at his hurdles form, right? He's rated 149 over hurdles, Vindication. In his 2 novice races as a hurdler, he bet Champ and Western Rider. Champ is good. It has turned out pretty good form. 151 over fences. He didn't improve much last year. He's had a wind up, and I think he's going to come back for the Charlie Hall, maybe with a prep run of Carlow this year. And I just think we haven't seen the best of him. He needs to cut out, I suppose, maybe the occasional error. We saw him in the JLT last year, and a couple of mistakes just maybe ended his challenge. But I just thought it was a particularly big price, 100 to 1 on Vindication. But obviously Santini, he's the horse that I think one of the things I took note of anyway on the previous circuit last year was Nicky Henderson's assistant Toby Laws. He absolutely loves this horse. He spoke about this year and maybe possibly next year we might see the best of him. And if you look at maybe a horse like Don Cossack, Tom, it took him nearly 10 years till we saw the best of them, didn't it? Like those sort of big raw horses, that you're kind of minding. Like, did we see the best of the Santini last year in the RSA? I'd probably say no.
No. And them horses, they do take time, as you said, Don Cossack, but they're big and raw. But no, he has to be a leading fancy as well. Santini, sure, he done so well, and it's just as we said earlier, it's a pity that top of the game is out of it, but Delta work is there as well to give him. But no, it's the race that everyone's talking about already, and it's going to be something to look forward to. Hopefully they all get there is another thing, to make it the spectacle that it looks like it could be.
Yeah, Santini I think is going to go for the Labrook is what they're saying. And just a shout out actually to Mike Vince. Our friend Mike Vince was involved in the Munster National winner. He's also lining up. It looks like he's going to go for what was the Hennessy as well. Did you see that on Sunday run? Yeah, the Mayor.
Cabaret Queen, yeah. I know if my colleague is involved in it as well. I spoke to Jack Cantillon. I did just a piece on him on Monday. Yeah, it's a brilliant story. It's a lot of people who've only got involved in racing for the first time are involved in the horse. A few former Roses Tralee as well. She's remarkably similar to Total Recall. She won off basically the same kind of mark and has got the same kind of rise in the weights and will now go for the Ladbroke. So yeah, she's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Just that's something to look forward to at Newbury. We didn't give a mention to the Champion Chase, lads, to that 2 mile. Shaq on Port Swan looked like an absolute monster, didn't he, at Punchestown?
Yeah, he was unreal, really. That was just his second start. You just worry with a horse like him, is how fragile is he, and is the season going to plan? But if he rocked up to Cheltenham in that sort of form, to beat Defy Decided like he did, that was amazing kind of run. And I think everyone, like Willie, was even shocked after the race. How it all unfolded.
Look back at his ears coming down to the last. He was doing absolutely not a tap.
Yeah. It was sensational.
With the Arkle and JLT winner in behind.
Yeah, like what was only a second ever start over fences anyway.
Yeah, he won. I was in Naas today. He won his beginners. I think he won by 40 lengths, but he literally just went out and. The rest never got. I think he nearly won by a fence and a half. He was unbelievable, and jumping. I'd say he gives you some feel to go down to a fence on him now.
You're dreaming about that one.
Yeah, I might even ride him over a fence. He looks that good. The old bottle wouldn't be great anymore.
Yes. Sorry, Barry. What was I saying? So the Champion Chase. So Altior obviously is just worth monitoring for the market. See what he does, what he comes out. He could even, who knows? I think he goes to Ascot first. It could all go pear-shaped then, and he could be a 2 mile chaser again. So you don't know. I just thought two prices that were interesting was Min, who I think is going to go down this route again.
Is he? I thought he'd step up.
Yeah, I think I was reading a couple of things Rich Ritchie said, and said they follow a similar kind of route. So yeah, you could be looking at 2.5 miles for the John Durkin maybe, and then he goes for the 2 mile race at the Dublin Racing Festival. And I'd be surprised if they didn't go back here again with if Altior doesn't run. And the other one at a big price was Politologue, who finished second in the race last year, has had a wind up since this summer, and will be campaigned over 2 miles again. I just thought he's 25 to 1. I just didn't really see why he's 25 to 1. So there were two that I was kind of thinking of for the Champion at this point.
As moving on quickly, is there anything coming from the point-to-point field? Thomas, I'll come to you on this one first. Is there anything that you've seen up in Fairy House or tracks nearby?
A bit further afield, but there's 2 horses that caught my eye. The first one is Geraldo. He's the Jeremy Garland. He won for Ella Marie Holden. Derek O'Connor won them. He bet a horse called Don Diablo of Colin Bowes that has gone to Gordon Elliott's, and this horse has actually gone to Gordon Elliott's as well, the two of them. He's bought for
this Geraldo.
Geraldo, Geraldo.
Right.
He won in Stolen, so he did. It was the other horse, Don Diablo, and I just can't remember. The other horse had gone to the last, and it looked like a race like 2. The second horse fell, and it looked like it was left for Barry O'Neill, but the turn of foot this horse showed from the back of the last, and got up and won snugly. You nearly want to see it to believe it. He was sold for 66,000 after it, and he could be won. Gordon Elliott and Mouse Ryan bought him, so I'd imagine he's going to start in a bumper somewhere this side of Christmas. And just the other one as well, he cost a bit more. The slag cost 200,000 after winning his point in Tallow. Willie Mullins has bought him. He's a horse called Deploy the Getaway. Yeah, he was massively impressive as well. He even walked through the last, and I still think he won by 25 lengths. But there's been a bit of word around for him, and I can imagine he's going to be very, very short when he starts out in a bumper as well.
See a big. I just read a couple of reports, just obviously about pointers coming in. Didn't see a video of it. Is he supposed to be quite a big horse? Is he?
Yeah, big getaway against someone really big. But yeah, look, he's come from a good school in Doyle, so he's gonna know his job, and he's with the Carlow Maestro now, Willie Mullins.
Paisley Park, I think, have him, did they?
And they could do. Harold Kirk was down to consign him, so you wouldn't know what colours he could end up with. But 200,000, he's a hefty price tag to go, and
he's 25 to 1 now actually for the champion bumper.
Is he? Yeah, he
25. There's one of Willie Mullins. I just read the report on him as well. A horse called, is it Piece of Paws? Won a 2.5 mile for Turley's at on the inner track at Punchestown, and he was supposed to.
Oh yeah.
You spoke about a turn of foot. This lad was supposed to have shown a pretty sharp.
I seen that. Yeah. Paddy Turley. He trains up he actually trains in the middle of Downpatrick Racecourse. You'll see there's a gallop there now. Yeah, Mark O'Hare actually won on him. I was there that day as well. Yeah, he looked pretty impressive, and he
horse.
Yeah, he was. I think the boys made a good profit on him as well. Now he
was
180,000. Yeah. But I remember talking to Mark maybe a couple of weeks after, and he said he was a real nice horse as well. So he could.
Power of Paws, actually. Power of Paws is the name of the horse.
Yeah,
he's just one.
These are all horses.
Yeah.
Go on ahead.
Go on. No, go on, I interrupted you.
I was just saying these are all horses that you're gonna see them maybe this side of Christmas, but they've all come from good stables. Even Ellery Holden, Doyle, and Patrick Turley is thrown out the winners up there in the north as well. So they'll have their jobs well known, and they're going to big trainers now as well. So these are definitely horses I'd be earmarking, and there could be a Grade 1 winner out of them three.
So it's Power of Paul, the Getaway, and Geraldo. Anything to mention, Ronan, from the point-to-point field?
I wouldn't be as clued up as you gentlemen on the point-to-points, and I tend to not even bet on bumpers anyway. So I'll leave that to you. I can throw a few handicappers at you if that is.
I'll throw the handicap because I gave you Harambe for the great one already now, so I'm hoping for.
Yeah. I have one Irish hurdler. Well, I'm presumably going back hurdling. It's called Rock the Bon for John Kiley and JP. He actually beat Classical Dream at Otoy.
Did he run the Cesarewitch, Ronan? Sorry, did he run the Cesarewitch?
Yeah, he ran third in the Cesarewitch. It took him a while to get going over hurdles earlier last year, but he ran okay at Leopardstown at Christmas. He ran 5th to Conio in a per temps qualifier, and then he wasn't seen again till Punchestown. But they've run him on the flat this season. He actually beat that mare Royal Illusion at Listowel, and then obviously she turned around the form in emphatic fashion at the Curragh on Sunday. But I very much presume he's going back over hurdles, and I just think he could be an absolute snip at 1-2-1. He's rated 88 on the flat now, and something like, I think there's a 2 mile 6 handicap hurdle at Navan, quite a good race, a good handicap, a Grade B handicap, something like that now I think could be well up the street. He's only a 5-year-old. He's only had 6 or 7 starts over hurdles in Ireland anyway. I think he could have loads in hand off 1-2-1. The chaser I wanted to give you, I'm pretty sure we'll go for the Ladbroke, and it's the regally named the Rasher counter for Emma Lavelle. He beat a horse called Walt at Newbury around at Christmas last year, and that horse went on to win what used to be the Racing Post handicap chase. I can't remember. It used to be the Betbright race as well. It changed sponsors every year, but it's a good handicap chase at Cheltenham or at Kempton even. And the Rasher counter, I know a load of shrewd judges were on him for, I think it was the Kim Muir, but they saved him and went to Utoxeter on the Saturday, and he absolutely bolted up on heavy ground 3 miles. He just travelled so well, jumped well, and straight away after the race, Emma Lavelle said we'll put him away for next year. He won't go to Aintree or anything like that. I'm nearly sure they probably trained him with Newbury in mind, seeing as he's won there. He's won on heavy ground. He's won over 3 miles, and he's off a mark of 149. He's only had 6 starts over fences. I just think he has a scope to kind of progress, and he's already got the Newbury form. I think he's around 33-1 for the Ladbroke, so I've had a play on him.
He won a bumper in Clonmel a few years ago, am I right? Or was he bet? Was he first or second? For the
off the top of my head, I couldn't.
Liz Doyle might have had him. Oh,
I think Liz Doyle had him, yeah.
Yeah, just when you said it, he either won or was bet one day in Clonmel in a bumper. I do know that. They was fancy, a big gamble on him or something one day. I do remember that.
Yeah,
Barry might have it there in front of him. I see him reading something there.
I'm actually reading. Right. Yeah, I'm reading about a horse. Well, it's actually something I wrote myself. But Sarah Delac is a horse that won the Brown Advisory last year, right? He went up 27 pounds. Lizzie Kelly, you might remember, at Cheltenham, right? This horse is going back for the big, right? 10-1 favourite now, and I actually think it's quite a good price. If you watch the way this horse jumps, he goes in the front. It's slightly time of last year in that. But he's only a 6-year-old. He's going to improve massively, I think, again this year. He's rated 150, and I do think he might be in graded company before the end of the season. I think keep an eye out for his short and flat race. Look, it's up to yourself. Wait till the day, but he's going to be very well fancied. It is his target, early season target. Nick Williams has said that in the Bees and jumpers to follow. So that's he's off quite a good mark of 150. Mr. Malarkey as well of Colin Tizard, another one that improved. He's won 150 rated as well. Look at Santini's going for that race. I'd probably prefer that. I feel like the Welsh National maybe for Mr. Malarkey, around Christmas time. If he runs in that race, I think that could be the target for him. So there's no prices for the Welsh National at the moment, but and Harambe as well, as I said, we've already mentioned. Just one thing just about his last run at Chepstow, just for making the case for him. They went absolutely no gallop. Tyne Hill won the race in the end, but Harambe basically pulled for his head for the first, easily the first mile and a half of the race. He just did not. So I think obviously great with hurdle, lickety split from the, he'd be settled in. It'll be easier to settle in a race like that, and I do think he'd be spot on. I think that's his target as well. So that's my handicap fancies for the early part of the season at least.
I just have one
yeah.
for you.
Okay.
Just a horse, and he only won a couple of weeks ago, and I just think he's very well handicapped. He's only off 116 now, one off 108 last week. Is a horse called Share the Honour of Tony Martin's. I think he's a horse that could end up maybe in Cheltenham in November for that. I do know, I think a lot of him, and I do know he has disappointed a lot for them, and he has been favoured a few times, and he's got bet. But now, just that he's got his head in front, and he won comfortably enough in Tipperary the last day, he could be still very well handicapped off 116.
Yeah, the horse he beat that day, that Jake Peter, that was backed off the boards. And,
that's Flynn's horse, isn't it? And
that was very well handicapped.
Yeah. So he just off 116. I think he's about 75 on the flat. But I do know he's supposed to be an exceptional workhorse, and I think he's might have caught them a few times. But now that he's got his head in front, he could click a couple of times more.
Just speaking about horses, I suppose, coming maybe from that side, Johnny Murta. Any of you guys know about a horse called Baba Boom, who ran the Cesarewitch on Sunday? Also ran in the McManus 6. Is he going over hurdles? No one knows.
Don't know.
Well, was he only purchased though? Was he not in that Fitzwilliam Racing Club? Was he not one of them horses? No.
Yeah, he was. He won a Galway for them.
He did. Yeah.
Just I think I think the plan originally.
Well, with JP buying him, you'd imagine with JP buying him, he would be going the jumping route.
Thomas, your horse is running on Tuesday. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, the entries are tomorrow. A horse that we got out of Aidan McGuinness's again. It ran for us in the Curragh 2 weeks ago and finished third. He was just beating a neck and a short head. We didn't have him that long, so I'd be hoping he's improved a little bit. He went up £5, but he was £2 out of the handicap, and hopefully he gets in now next week. It's the same bracket, the same distance. Young Alan Purse will ride him again, claim 7 off him. He'll have a nice light weight, so I'd be very hopeful that he could go 2 places better. And
what's his name, Thomas?
He's called Megan's Bow. Sorry, Megan's Bow. That'll be that.
I was thinking, was I not? I was wondering, was he not listening, or did you mention the name of it? But you were just keeping that.
Megan's Bow. Yeah, look, we got him out of Ados, and we only had him 8 days, and because it was a low grade nursery, we kind of had to go for it, and he was 50 to 1, and we kind of didn't know what to expect. But we kept him fresh that week, and we've been keeping him fresh, and he worked well the other day. And look, he was third of a field of 20 in the nursery. So, and King of Kells won it, and he backed up the form by just being beaten now the other day. So we'd be hoping we could go very close again on Tuesday.
Lovely stuff. Well, best of luck.
Any shares left?
No shares in that one, no.
Can we get in? Yeah. I believe you got a nice 2-year-old by Marquez.
Yeah,
recently.
we bought a yearling. We might get a few lads into it there. A few lads from Carlow might be interested, you know. Yeah, lovely yearling. Bought into sales and Tattersalls by Marquez. He's from a William family. 3 brothers have one, and yeah, we've been broken and he's riding away. So we'll go to the sales again next week. So we're trying to get the yard kind of 50-50 with flat and national hunt, but at the minute it's more national hunt. But we've 3 or 4 flat horses in now, and we'll put our hand at everything, and we'll try and get a few winners from here till Christmas. We'll work and see what we can do.
Would you be interested, Ronan, in investing in the Derrinstown bloodlines?
I think I need one of my 40-1 shots to win before I can afford to be rubbing shoulders with you lads. I might if one of my 40-1 pokes come in, then you have my word, I'll be involved.
If Real Steel wins.
Well, Real Steel, Steel for the Gold Cup.
If Real Steel wins the Gold Cup, Thomas, I'll buy a horse for you, all right?
No problem.
Jesus, lads. What about Vindication or Vindication? If Vindication wins, I'll buy 2.
Yeah, no, but we're building up slowly, and we were getting a few more flat horses in, but you know, the stables are all full. The new stables are built. They're full, so you can't complain.
I've been keeping up to date with Thomas Coyle racing on Snapchat over the summer months. So yeah, no, brilliant to hear that, Thomas. But lads, listen, I suppose that concludes the look ahead to the national hunt season. We'll be back, I suppose, on a weekly basis. But lads, thank you very much for your time tonight, and we look forward to getting this uploaded.
Cheers, Barry.
Cheers, Barry.
Take care, Andy.